The 29, the abysmal or saying yes. You will either have contagion, commitment, or industry as your purpose or your incarnation cross. This is my incarnation cross. This is my purpose. Contagion is my purpose. The right angle cross of contagion. So Ra always joked a lot about this gate because this gate is about saying yes. And he really always thought it was very funny because he thought the 29th gate always said yes so fast that it would just about blow his mind how quickly it would say yes. Now, the other thing to understand is how important the 29th gate is, because it's also a part of our death cycle, which we're not going to get into in the purpose-driven wealth formula here, but I will be going over it in the self-mastery movement course. So the 29th gate is this gate that kills us. It has enormous importance in our lives since it is part of the cycle that creates the timing system, which brings a human life to an end. So when it's in the biology, the 29th gate says no. You start a cycle that leads to your death. So he makes a lot of fun about it, about the 29th gate, but he really also recognized that it had a great significance to our whole system. So when we're looking at this third variation of contagion, the 29th gate of saying yes or making a commitment is part of the abstract process and part of the channel of succeeding where others fail or failing where others succeed. It is this commitment that leads directly to the love of the body. So the 29th gate is looking towards fulfillment. In other words, it's looking for that fulfillment of the commitment. And that commitment is going to lead us ultimately to either intimacy or reproduction. And the other languaging for the 29th gate is that it's very loyal. And that loyalty, even though it's in the collective, it feels very tribal. Because there's this abysmal. It's very, very deep. This, the abysmal never ends. There's so much in here. So these people are always, myself included, leaping into things. What became very important for me is to really recognize my body movement and my response out of my gut so that 29th gate no longer plagued me. I very seldom said no. And now I say no quite a bit. I don't put myself, well, I shouldn't say I don't. I do my best to listen to it so that I'm not in situations that don't serve me. Again, I can get very loyal, which then can then deplete my resources of the 14. And if you have this, you have the 8 and the 14 and the 30 and the 29. So it's about what is that, what commitment are you going to, or what contribution are you going to commit to? And what resources are you going to commit to that contribution? And then are you going to be able to just be able to surrender to the fates? And again, this is a self-absorbed process. And a lot of times what happens here is that the 29 will say yes so quickly that it actually breaks promises. And that's not the point of this, because it has nothing to do with the willpower or the ego or heart center. But it will end up breaking promises, and breaking those promises or, collapsing because of the overcommitment. And learning from that process can actually lead us to real bonding and real intimacy. And I'm now in my 45th year of flying around the sun. And I recognize that deeply. How I've been in human design for 8 years, and I'm not perfect at it. So being able to recognize how important that response is for me, so that I no longer have to break promises. And I have learned a great deal about loyalty and about what I need to commit to. And that really, it's a self-absorbed process. And then once we can get good at knowing what we are designed to commit to, then we really become the demonstration of that. So it is really there to begin to drive us to find a way to assure a bond between this and that, and to bond, the yin and the yang. Juxtaposition cross of commitment. There can be great burnout here. They are so fixed on committing and making a commitment that they easily burden themselves, and it isn't an easy load. So juxtaposition crosses, they are quite rare, and yet they usually hold the most burden of every single one of the gates, because they're bridging between the right angle cross to the left angle cross. So they always carry a great burden, and here they can be very fixed, and they can be inspirational as well, to influence others in the world, to really recognize the correct commitments, and yet they can also serve until their death because they get so committed. Left angle cross of industry. So these people, again, I have quite a few of them in my life just because we're kind of on the same fractal. So once they respond, they can jump in, but they desperately, desperately need guidance. Any 3420s, I also have the 3420. I'm not in the industry, I'm on the Contagion, but I also have the 3420. Anybody with the 3420, if you're in this particular course, or if you know of anybody, they need to be guided. If they don't know themselves, if they don't know their gut response, they need to be guided. And even when they do know their gut response, it is so important to have a good coach, a good set of guides in your life. I'm lucky. I have actually quite a few people that I interact with that provide me with that guidance. So what can happen here is there can be great failure here because they get burnt out, because they get absolutely overwhelmed and they take on way too much, then they break under it. So making sure that you have a good coach, a good guide, and knowing your response, because that is the whole point. You are here to be in the business world. You are here to work. You are here to bring this amazing charisma and commit to those that recognize that charisma. So if you have these people in your life, or you are one of these people, they need to understand the nature of their design, their type, their authority, so they can fulfill what this cross is all about. There is a projection here on these people, is that they are the ones who can carry the burden, that can guide us into whatever industrial age, technology age. As the backbone, they can put their shoulder to the wheel. They are here to make the commitment and do the work, but they are not here to just do anything. It is essential that they know what is there for them. And how are we going to do this, you guys? Our purpose is built right into our Incarnation cross. However, the whole entire picture has to be brought in so that you know, are you responding to something that is correct for you or not? That's the important piece. Because most of the world is absolutely frustrated. So the moment that you take force and you tune these people into what they need to be tuned into, like, they can get a lot done. Now again, I have the 3420. I'm on the Contagion. So it's like I have a mixture of all of this there. Knowing what to commit to, knowing that response, that, my friends, is so important. And then the whole entire design really tells us what it is that we need to commit to and how to surrender to the fates and allow our charisma to absolutely show up in the world. So have fun with this. We'll play with this in the coaching, and talk to you soon.